They took a pawn, one single pawn, and they stood up from the table, knocked over the board, and started dancing like they had conquered an empire. They popped bottles, they made phone calls. They told everyone who would listen that they finally got you, that you were done, that the mighty had fallen, and they were the ones holding the sword. But here is the thing about chess that amateurs never understand. Sacrificing a pawn isn't losing, it is positioning. And while they were busy celebrating, while they were drunk on their tiny victory, while they were telling the world about your so-called defeat, you were still sitting at the table, quiet, watching, calculating, moving pieces. They didn't even know existed into squares. They couldn't even see. They thought the game was over. The game hadn't even started. See, there are two types of players in this world. There are the ones who play for the immediate win, the quick dopamine hit, the instant gratification of seeing their opponent stumble. They want the fast knockout. They want to see blood on the first punch. They want victory they can post about, brag about, build their fragile identity around. And then there are players like you, the ones who understand that real power doesn't announce itself. Real strategy doesn't need applause. Real victory is so quiet, so subtle, so devastatingly complete, that by the time anyone realizes what happened, it has already been over for months. You are not playing the same game they are playing. You are not even playing the same sport. They are out here playing checkers, jumping over pieces, making noise with every move, thinking that activity equals progress. But you have been playing a game so sophisticated, so layered, so patient, that they don't have a name for it yet. Let me tell you what they saw when they thought they beat you. They saw you fall. They saw you struggle. They saw that moment of weakness, that crack in the armor, that stumble that made you look human. And in that moment, their small minds did what small minds always do. They extrapolated, they assumed. They projected their own fragility onto you and decided that one stumble meant total collapse. They forgot something crucial. You don't stumble by accident, you stumble by design. That weakness they exploited, you let them find it. That vulnerability they attacked, you left it exposed on purpose. That pawn they captured with such pride, you positioned it there knowing they wouldn't be able to resist taking it because you have been studying them far longer than they realize. You know how they think. You know what tempts them. You know that their ego is so hungry, so desperate, so starving for any taste of victory that they would lunge at the first opportunity without checking what it might cost them. And they did exactly as you predicted. They took the bait. They swallowed it whole. And now the hook is so deep, they don't even feel it yet. Let's talk about patience for a moment, because this is where most people fail. This is where ordinary minds break and reveal themselves. Patience isn't passive. That is what they never understand. Patience isn't sitting around waiting for something to happen. Patience is active restraint. It is choosing not to move when every fiber of your being wants to strike. It is watching them celebrate your supposed defeat and keeping your face completely still. Do you know how much strength that takes? To watch people who hurt you dance on what they think is your grave. To see them toast to your downfall while you sit in silence, knowing what is coming. To feel the rage burning in your chest and convert it into fuel instead of fire. That is not weakness. That is mastery. That is the difference between a street fighter and a general. The street fighter swings at the first sign of disrespect. The general watches, waits, and positions armies while the enemy exhausts themselves, celebrating battles that don't matter. You are the general and they just burn through their ammunition shooting at shadows. Here is what is beautiful about their premature celebration. They showed you everything. In their arrogance, in their victory laps, in their rush to tell everyone about your defeat. They revealed their entire playbook. They showed you who their allies really are. They showed you what they truly think of you. They exposed the depths of their resentment, their envy, their fear disguised as triumph. They gave you intelligence they should have guarded with their lives, and you collected every single piece, every name they mentioned, every person who joined their celebration, every snake who smiled at your suffering, every coward who only showed their true colors when they thought you were too wounded to notice. You cataloged them all, not for revenge, not for retaliation, for positioning. Because when you rise, and we both know you are going to rise, you need to know exactly who should and shouldn't have access to the kingdom you are building. They just saved you years of trying to figure out who your real ones are. They volunteered that information while they were busy laughing. Thank them silently and remember every face. Now let's discuss their fundamental error in calculation. They measured your power by what they could see. They assessed your strength based on external circumstances. They looked at your position, your resources, your situation, and they ran their little equations based on their math. You were finished. Based on their logic, you had nothing left to fight with. But they cannot measure what lives inside you. They cannot quantify the fire that refuses to die. They cannot calculate the will that bends but never breaks. They cannot factor in the thing that wakes you up at 4 a.m. With clarity they will never possess. They cannot account for the force that has been building in you since the first time someone underestimated you. Their math is missing the most important variable. You, not your circumstances, not your resources, not your situation. You, the actual you, the thing that exists beneath all the external noise, the consciousness that has been through worse than this and came back stronger. The spirit that treats obstacles as training weights and setbacks as tuition. They calculated everything except the only thing that matters. And that is why their celebration is so perfectly premature. Let me paint you a picture of what is happening right now. While they are still hanging up their victory banners, in the silence they created when they pushed you out, something is growing. Something is strengthening. Something is evolving at a rate they cannot comprehend because they think pressure destroys people. They don't understand that pressure is exactly what creates diamonds. Every door they closed concentrated your focus. Every bridge they burned eliminated your distractions. Every ally they stole revealed dead weight you needed to release. Every weapon they used taught you defenses you didn't know you needed. They thought they were dismantling you. They were actually refining you. They thought they were ending your game. They were actually leveling you up for a game they don't even know exists yet. And here is the part that is going to haunt them. You are not angry anymore. You were, oh, you definitely were. There were nights when the rage was so intense, you could taste metal. There were moments when you fantasized about immediate retaliation, about matching their energy, about showing them exactly what you are capable of when you are not holding back. But that is past, and what replaced it is far more dangerous than anger. Clarity replaced it. Cold, crystalline, surgical clarity. The kind that doesn't waste energy on emotion. The kind that sees the board from above, that tracks all the pieces, that calculates 17 moves ahead while they are still celebrating move 2. Anger makes mistakes. Clarity makes moves, and you have stopped being angry. You have started being strategic. They have no idea what is coming. And the most beautiful part, they will not see it coming, either because you are not going to announce it, you are not going to threaten it. You are not going to give them any warning whatsoever. You are just going to execute. One move at a time, one day at a time, one quiet, devastating decision at a time. And by the time they realize the game continued after their celebration, they will already be in checkmate. Not almost in checkmate, not approaching checkmate, already there. Looking around at a board they stopped paying attention to, wondering how all their pieces disappeared while they were busy framing their victory photos. Let's talk about the nature of real victory, because they clearly don't understand it. Real victory doesn't need an audience. Real victory doesn't require their acknowledgement. Real victory is so complete, so total, so undeniable that it speaks for itself. You don't have to convince anyone you won. The results make it obvious to anyone with eyes. They wanted a loud victory, a theatrical victory, a victory they could perform and broadcast and use for social validation. You want something different. You want the kind of victory that changes your life so fundamentally that their opinion becomes irrelevant. The kind of victory that builds something so solid that their attacks bounce off without leaving a mark. The kind of victory that creates a reality so removed from their sphere of influence that you forget they exist for months at a time. That is not revenge. That is transcendence. And it is so much more devastating than anything they could have imagined. Here is what is going to happen in the coming months. And I want you to see it clearly so you recognize it when it starts unfolding. You are going to build in silence day by day, brick by brick, move by move. Nothing flashy, nothing they can point to and attack, just consistent, relentless progress towards something they cannot even envision. Meanwhile, they are going to plateau. The high of defeating you will fade. The celebration will end. The bottles will empty. And they will be left with themselves, with the same limitations that made them need to tear you down in the first place, with the same emptiness that made your light so offensive to them. And slowly, imperceptibly, the gap will grow. Not because you are trying to compete with them. You stopped competing with them the moment they showed you who they really are. No, the gap will grow because you are playing a completely different game now. A game that has nothing to do with them. A game that is entirely about becoming what you were always meant to become. They will watch it happen. They will tell themselves it doesn't bother them. They will create narratives about why your success doesn't count, why your growth isn't real, why your transformation is somehow fake or temporary or undeserved. But they will watch, and watching your ascension from the same place they were standing when they celebrated your defeat, that is a special kind of torture that you don't even have to inflict. They will do it to themselves. Every notification, every update, every glimpse of your new reality will remind them that they celebrated too early, that they popped champagne at halftime, that they mistook a chapter break for the end of the book. There is a moment coming. I want you to visualize it because it is already real. It is already inevitable. It is already happening in a timeline you are collapsing toward with every breath you take in this moment. You are standing somewhere elevated. Literal or figurative doesn't matter. You have built something they said was impossible. You have become someone they said you could never be. You have achieved things they were certain were beyond your reach. And in this moment, someone mentions them. Maybe someone asks how you feel about the people who celebrated your downfall. Maybe you see their name somewhere. Maybe a memory surfaces and you feel nothing. Not satisfaction, not vindication, Not even the sweet taste of proving them wrong. Nothing. Because they have become irrelevant. Completely. Totally. Absolutely irrelevant. They are so far below your current reality that feeling anything about them would be like a mountain. Feeling something about a pebble that once rolled down its side. That is checkmate. Not when they suffer, not when they apologize, not when they acknowledge their mistake. Checkmate is when you genuinely don't care anymore, when their opinion has no weight, when their existence has no impact. When you have so thoroughly transcended the board, they thought they dominated that you cannot even see them from where you are standing. And they will know it. They will feel it. They will sense that somewhere along the way they stopped mattering to you. And there is nothing they can do to change that. No attack they can launch that will bring you back down to their level. No provocation that will make you engage. No strategy that will make you care. They will be stuck playing a game against an opponent who left the table years ago. That is not victory. That is annihilation through indifference. So here is what I need you to understand. As you sit there right now, wherever you are, whatever state you are in, however fresh the wounds from their celebration might be, this is all part of the game. Their celebration, your pain, this moment of darkness. It is all part of the game, and the game is longer than they can possibly imagine. The game spans years, not weeks. The game measures success in transformations, not transactions. The game rewards patience over panic, strategy over impulse, silence over noise. You were built for this game. They weren't. That is not arrogance. That is assessment. They showed you exactly who they are when they celebrated too early. They revealed their inability to see beyond the immediate. They demonstrated their addiction to instant gratification. They proved that their minds cannot conceive of the kind of long-term strategic thinking that you are capable of. They eliminated themselves from serious consideration. All you have to do now is keep moving, keep building, keep evolving, keep playing the game they don't know exists. And when the time is right, when the pieces are all in place, when the position is so overwhelming that resistance is mathematically impossible, you will not even need to say checkmate. The board will say it for you. They celebrated your downfall too early. The real game is just beginning, and you are already winning. Move in silence. Build in darkness, rise when ready. The celebration they are having right now, let them enjoy it. It is the last one they are going to have for a very long time.